It's Adam here, aka Cena Guy. Right, we've come to the end. Reviewing the Leprechaun franchise. I've reviewed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now I'm reviewing part 6, entitled Leprechaun Back to the Hood. Many of you would say there's 2 more installments after that one. We've got the remake, Leprechaun Origins, where Hornswoggle from WWE takes over the role. I'm going to put it to you straight, I fucking hate the movie. I've only seen Leprechaun Origins once. A part of me wasn't going to like it anyway because I'm not a fan of Hornswoggle. I think he's annoying. And he was involved in the worst era of professional wrestling history, which is the PG era. And trust me, he was PG, annoying, everything in the book, right down to the core. Every time when Hornswoggle made his entrance in WWE, I just rolled my eyes thinking, here we go, more childish bullshit. And all he did was go, you know, and made annoying noises, made other wrestlers job to him, but it's a long story short. And then we've got this movie, Leprechaun Returns. Again, this is a movie I've only seen once. But Leprechaun Origins, like I say, I'm not going to review it because I don't like the movie. I'd say the truth, I'll only rant on a movie if I have to. If I come up like to an installment of the franchise and I've got no choice but to review it, I will. But I enjoy doing reviews more than rants because at least when I'm doing reviews, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Rants, all I'm doing is whining and complaining, and I don't want to do that too often, otherwise people are going to get the wrong idea about me. But no, I will not review Leprechaun Origins. I don't give a fuck about it. Don't give a fuck about the leading actor in the role, Hornswoggle. I thought the story was lame. I mean, to top it off completely, it didn't even seem like he was a leprechaun in that movie. He just seemed like a demon. He only saw him for like a few stages. The movie fucking dragged. It kept on going on and on and on, and nothing was fucking happening. Now, when I saw this movie with my friend, Warwick Davis doesn't inspire his role, but this movie kind of takes place after the first movie. But this movie is nothing special either. I remember there was one or two few good gore scenes. I'll admit that. But again, I did not think this movie was really enjoyable. You know, many of you would say which Leprechaun films are enjoyable because they all suck. Well, it all depends on your taste at the end of the day. But like I say, even this DVD box set came with Leprechaun, the original, and Leprechaun Returns. Don't get me wrong, it was nice to see another entry into the Leprechaun movies, but again, I probably won't review this either. Will I review this in the future? I don't know. More than likely not. That's all I'm going to say. More than likely not. So, I'm not going to put my hand on my heart and promise you I'm never going to review it, because you don't know what happens. But Leprechaun Origins in this movie, no. I want to end it here now, Leprechaun Back to the Hood. It's the last Leprechaun film that starred Warwick Davis. Now, this movie, Leprechaun Back to the Hood, it has one thing that all the other Leprechaun movies did not have, and that was an audio commentary. 2 of them. One with the director and one with Warwick Davis himself. And I'm thinking, you'd think that Leprechaun 1 or 2 would have special features and audio commentaries, because 1 and 2 were the ones that did the most well, and 1 or 2 were the only ones that came out in theatre. So you'd think that they would have audio commentary with some special features, but they don't. Leprechaun Back to the Hood, which came out in 2003. The exact date it was released, December 30th of 2003. Has 2 audio commentaries, and yes, I have listened to them. I learned a lot more about the Leprechaun character and what was going on behind the scenes when Warwick Davis spoke. And I'll get to a few of those points later on. But this movie did not get good reception. They say it was one of the worst movie sequels ever. And they say it was one of those typical movies that could spark a race riot. So people thought there was racism in this. I mean, originally, the idea for this sequel was supposed to take place on a tropical island with bikini girls or some sort of different location. But apparently Leprechaun in the Hood, which I did not like, sold a lot of copies. So they thought, okay, we'll do another Leprechaun film, but still based in the Hood. I don't understand why Leprechaun in the Hood sold so many copies. The one that involved Ice-T, because I did not like Leprechaun in the Hood. I thought it was atrocious, unfunny, shitty. But this movie, Back to the Hood, I'll admit I liked it more than In the Hood. I'm not saying it's an amazing movie. I'm just saying Leprechaun Back to the Hood, I enjoyed it more than In the Hood. And it's one of the movies I like to a certain degree in this franchise. 1 I like, 2 is my favourite, 3 didn't care for, 4 was a guilty pleasure, 5 didn't like, and this one was okay. You know, nothing special. I mean, right off the bat, the film opens up with this storybook telling you the stories about leprechauns and how they all went back to the king, except for one leprechaun, and that one leprechaun was played by Warwick Davis, who kept the gold. We get introduced to our characters, and these characters were nothing really special. I didn't really care for any of them, but we've got a lead girl who, her ex-boyfriend is this drug dealer. Like I said, it's all taking place in the hood. We've got a stoner guy who likes to smoke a lot of weed. We get some other characters, and we'll learn that how some of them are sick of being in the hood and they want to do something with their lives. The lead girl wants to go to college. You know, she works at this beauty salon or something where people get massages and all that kind of shit. You know, and there's basically this centre where they have a barbecue later on, and they basically want to do things with their lives. You know, there's motorcycle gangs, there's all sorts of gangs going on in the hood, and these particular people who are living in this hood in particular want to do something with their lives. I mean, there's a scene where they're having like a barbecue at this centre. The lead girl sees this cheap-looking rainbow. She follows the rainbow, she falls into this pit, and that's where the leprechaun's gold is. They find this gold, they think it's a godsend, they think they can do better things with their lives. But what I don't get is, at the start of this movie, she's going on about how much she hates working at the salon, and she wants to go to college and all that. Well, now she's got the opportunity to do it because she's got gold. She can pay for her education and all that shit. Yet she doesn't do that. They split the gold between them. You know, they start spending it on drugs, you know, and clothes and all that other kind of shit. So with the person who's drug dealing, I'm thinking to myself, why does he want to carry on buying drugs and all that shit when he's got enough gold to retire? It must be a fucking hobby of his. Of course, the leprechaun comes back, and he's on one big mission to get his gold back from all these little individual people who are in the hood. So, I will be openly honest when saying that all these leading characters in the hood, and no one really particularly interesting. The leprechaun itself in this movie, I thought was like a little bit different. He seems more darker in this film. Just by his clothes that he's wearing, he's got like this top hat and this long cloak. He looks like a little bit of like a miniature Jack the Ripper type of character. He seems a little bit more serious. Yes, he cracks his joke. We see a bong smoking scene and all that kind of shit, but he seems a little darker in this movie, in my opinion. Because we see heart-ripping scenes. You know, we see jaw-ripping scenes. We see a cop getting his leg ripped off. You know, so we do see some scenes from the Leprechaun in this movie where he's less, you know, comedic type. Although you do get those scenes, but they're not too strong. And you see like more of a serious side of him, like as if he's more of like a serious, darker character. At least that's what I found anyway. I thought we had a good little hilarious scene where Leprechaun's looking for this gold. He goes in this building. You know, there's this guy who's had all this weed that has clovers in it. You know, he hits a bong with the leprechaun. Leprechaun's getting high on the bong. And while he's chuckling on the floor, laughing because he's so fucking high out of his mind, he finds the gold coin. He tries to get it back and he ends up stabbing the guy with the bong. You know, we do see more hilarious scenes where Leprechaun's hitting a bong while he's stuck in a fridge. You know, many people say this is stupid, childish humour. But right off the bat, if you haven't seen my reviews, I'm going to say this right away, guys. I am not a hard guy to please when it comes to movies. You don't have to put your heart and soul into the movies for me to like them. It's like when they're low-budget movies and the bad quality. I could give a shit about that. If the film is just enjoyable up to a point where you can just have a laugh, whether it's a guilty pleasure or you enjoy it for simple reasons, and for all that kind of stuff, then I'm into it. Because not many horror fanatics like the Leprechaun movies. They think he's an annoying character. The plots are stupid. You know, they're fucking storytelling and the angles and the kill ideas are pathetic, and I agree with that to a certain extent. But I still enjoy the Leprechaun movies, at least some of them, and Back to the Hood was an okay film for me. Granted, it's not the best one in the franchise, and it did get a lot of complaints saying it was all racist and all that kind of stuff. You know, the N-word was changed in this movie to ninjas. What's up, my ninjas? You know, I enjoyed the cop scene where Leprechaun rips that cop's leg off. There's a scene where Leprechaun gets shot with a shotgun. You know, it's like in the beauty salon scene where he's massaging this woman and he touches her, breaks her neck. A scene where Leprechaun gets lit on fire, and you know, we get a scene where Leprechaun rips this woman's jaw out because she has a gold tooth. So those are your little dark scenes. Again, I thought he didn't go overboard with the humour. It's like the scene where Leprechaun falls off the car, going after them lead people. You know, he's having a telephone sex call. You know, she hangs up when she hears that he's only 3'6". He says he makes up for it in other areas of his body, like, I make up for it in other areas, if you know what I mean. And she hangs up, thinking that he's small. So, I like that scene. No, not mind-burstingly funny, but, you know, just a good giggle. You know? It's like I said, Leprechaun was expressing different sides of himself in this movie. He had the dark Jack the Ripper side, he had like the comedian side also, and you see more darker and serious in this movie. So it was nice to see Warwick Davis portray the Leprechaun in a different type of manner. I mean, I'd say it's just good to see these movies because Warwick Davis is really inspiring his role. You can tell he's having fun with the roles. You know, Resources said that Leprechaun 3 was his favourite movie, but when I met him, he said it was the first one. You know, so, but either way, he had a blast. It's just a shame Warwick Davis didn't inspire his role in any of the Leprechaun movies, which I'll get to in a moment. I mean, the ending scene, we get the scene where Leprechaun's having this showdown with all these other kids in the hood. You know, during that time leading up to it, they made these bullets, like, with the clover ends. I put these clovers inside these bullets. There's a scene where he's being shot at on the roof, and although the Leprechaun's bleeding, these little gold sparkles are vanishing from him because the clovers are entering his body. At this point, he's burned, and Warwick Davis did say in the DVD that the quickest way they made him look having the burnt look was because they put a blowtorch to his leprechaun mask, so he looked all burnt and all that shit. They said he had pipes in his jacket, so that when they shot him, the pipes were squirting out the blood. And the scene ends where he gets hit with his pot of gold, you know, and he falls into the concrete below. He slowly sinks with his gold. But basically, the Leprechaun's trapped. You know, Warwick Davis said in his role that during that scene it was a very cold scene because it was in the middle of the night and it was like a food substance and he had to be hosed down later on the setting. You know, and it shows the end scene where all the people are celebrating, you know, playing basketball with the kids, and just before the storybook ends, Leprechaun's hand comes up from the concrete in the storybook and he just says the end. You know. And people still question Warwick Davis this very day, saying, will there be a Leprechaun 7? And, you know, will there be a 7? He said he'd love to do it. But since then he's changed his mind. I think the newest excuse he gave was because he had more children then, and he wants to lead by a good example. He says he would love to do horror again someday, but not until his youngest child reaches the age of 18, and then he can focus more on serious horror again. You know, even when I met Warwick Davis, I asked him, will there be any more Leprechaun movies? And he said he'd love to do it, but, you know, he says Lionsgate will be focused on more other projects. I mean, the latest information it says so far about there being another film after Back to the Hood, it says from as early as 2008 as late 2019, writer and director Darren Lynn Bousman has expressed interest in making another Leprechaun film, a sequel to Back to the Hood, with an idea of placing the character in an Old West. If you remember when I said Leprechaun could take place anywhere, you know, like in the countryside, Las Vegas, in space, you know, Warwick Davis even said that he's one of them characters that can, you know, take place anywhere. So the directors expect him being in a Wild West town, which makes more sense because they have gold and all that shit there in the Wild West town. So You know, Warwick Davis says he expressed an interest on the Leprechaun appearing like a Caribbean involving pirates because they love drinking and they got gold and all that shit. So it's just a question where the Leprechaun films are going to go at this stage. But since then, we've had Leprechaun Origins and Leprechaun Returns, which I'm not a fan of. And there we go. But I've had fun reviewing these films, guys. I'm really glad it was suggested. Like I say, it's not a terrific franchise, but I do like it to some aspect where I would own it on Blu-ray. Like I say, this had 2 audio commentaries, shockingly. I can't believe this film got audio commentaries and the other films didn't, but there you go. Like I said, this is the Blu-ray set. I used to own all of these on DVD previously, but I like it up to the point where I would own it as part of Blu-ray. Like I said, I've enjoyed reviewing this franchise, everybody. If you've got any requests or anything like that on a particular franchise you'd like me to review, just leave them in the suggestion below. I'm not going to say I promise I'm going to review your requests, but like I say, if I see one particular franchise that stands out and people are giving it a lot of thumbs up, then I may consider doing that franchise next. So, don't know where we're going to go from here. Maybe individual reviews until I figure out what franchise to do next. But there you go, everyone. Thanks for watching this. Please like, rate, and comment, and email if you've got any questions. Thanks, everyone. Peace out.